Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome everyone who joined Media Sense in Ukrinform. And live with us is the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Oleksandr Motuzianyk, about the current situation on the front line. Esteemed friends, welcome. This is the information from the Ministry of Defense about the peculiarities of the military aggression of the Russian Federation as of noon, May the 30th. It's the active phase of the Great Liberation War. The Russian occupation forces don't stop offensive in the eastern operational zone in order to have full control over the territories of Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast, ensuring the resilience of the land corridor between Rostov Oblast in Russia and temporarily occupied territory of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, and blocking sea communications of Ukraine in northern western part of Black Sea. At least these are tactical plans of the Russian aggressor. For this, the Russian command has used all the forces and tries to encircle our troops in Donetsk and Lugansk regions. The battles reached maximum intensity. The Russian occupational forces engage along the whole front lines and try to shell our deep rear with artillery. Simultaneous assault on multiple axes have been conducted. The heaviest fighting happens at Severodonetsk, Bakhmut, and Kurachiv axes. In order to strengthen the groupings of troops and recreation of troops, the enemy demothball outdated weapons and military equipment. The occupiers keep shelling the border districts in Chernihiv and Sumy regions and continue missile strikes at the infrastructure and residential buildings and neighborhoods at the territory of Ukraine. Aggressor keeps resorting to the tactics of terrorizing the civilian population of Mariupol. Last week, the occupiers forced to the filtration camp near the village of Bezimen, 20 kilometers to the east of Mariupol. About 3,000 Ukrainians, more than 300 of them are children. Citizens of Ukraine that don't pass the filtration, at least 10% of them, are qualified as dangerous for the Russian regime and are being arrested. While they were kept under arrest, the Ukrainian citizens are being interrogated, tortured, and forced to cooperate, as well as threatened with being killed. Ukrainian troops conduct defense, inflicting heavy losses to the occupiers at all of the axes where there are active combat. Now, operational situation where we have the most intensive fighting, namely Kharkiv axis. Armed forces of Ukraine are defending against the main forces of the occupiers, whose main effort is on defending the established positions and not allowing our troops to move all the way to the state border of Ukraine. At Slavyansk axis, the enemy regroups in order to relaunch offensive on Izyum-Barvinkovo and Izyum-Slavyansky. Near these villages of Dovgenka and Kurulka, the Ukrainian military fights off the Russian assault. And in Donetsk region, we're trying to disallow the enemy to encircle our units near Lysychansk and Severodonetsk and block main logistical paths. At Liman region, the occupier establishes the defense lines near Liman and regroups. In Severodonetsk, the artillery, under the support of artillery fire, is launching offensive in Toshkivka and Ustinivka. At Bakhmut axis, the occupiers are regrouping in order to keep assaulting Kamyshovaha village, and for that they increase the number of air defense systems. At Avdiivka, Kurachiv, and Novopavlivsk axes, the enemy was conducting counter battery fire against our positions. At Zaporizhzhia axis, the enemy launched artillery fire at villages Orikhove and at Luhivske, which is 40 to 60 kilometers to north east from Zaporizhia, at Pivdenna Bug axis, with the support of 8th, 49th Army, 22nd Corps of the Southern Military District, and paratroopers tries to defend the defense positions, conducts reconnaissance, neutralizes our troops, preventing us to redeploying our reserves to other axes, and the enemy keeps shelling our positions. Volyn and Policia axes. There, the situation hasn't been changed that much like before. The units of the armed forces of Belarus Republic, up to 7 battalions strength, continue to strengthen the Ukrainian-Belarus border in Brest and Gomel oblasts. Siversk axis, the enemy keeps the units at the Russian-Ukrainian border in Bryansk and Kursk oblasts at the territory of Russia in order to prevent our troops to be redeployed to other more dangerous axes. At the same axis, the aggressor was hitting with artillery the infrastructure near villages Bayaro Leżichi, Manuchivka, that's Sumy region, and Yanzhulivka and Kamenska Sloboda, which is in Chernihiv region. Black Sea and Sea of Azov operational zones. The boats of the Russian Navy in water zones of Black Sea and Sea of Azov continue to isolate our forces there, conduct reconnaissance, and try to block the civilian maritime transportation in the northern western part of Black Sea. The readiness of use the missiles in Black Sea is only one boat that could fire as much as 8 missiles from caliber MLRS. At the same time, the Ukrainian troops continue to inflict substantial losses to the enemy. Only yesterday in Donetsk and Lugansk regions, armed forces of Ukraine and other military troops repelled 14 attacks of the enemy, destroyed 2 artillery systems, 11 armored vehicles, and 10 enemy cars. The air defense units shot down 2 cruise missiles and 3 UAVs of Russian occupiers type Cube. The jets of the Air Force of Ukraine shot down 2 enemy UAVs in Sumy region. Also, Ukrainian aviation hit the units of the occupiers near the village of Dovhenke. The general losses of the Russian occupiers you can see on this slide. These are the losses inflicted during the whole active phase from February the 24th until now. This is it from me right now. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Can you tell us, please? You mentioned more intense fighting in Kurachiv axis, but a couple of days ago it was quiet there. What would it mean? Pivdenna Bug axis. There was information that from Davida Broda and Kostarma, our troops were moving forward, and there was information that it was difficult for the Russians to establish their defense positions. So is it possible there for us to move all the way to Dnieper and cut them off somehow? And lastly, in Black Sea, there is only one ship of the Russian Navy that could launch cruise missiles from previously there were 4 of them. Well, no, there were 2 of them. Well, back to your first question. It's not surprising that there is when some of the axes have more intense fighting, in others they stay quiet. Whatever they cannot reach fast victory, they redeploy their troops elsewhere, trying to stretch our troops. This is quite a dynamic situation, so nothing surprising here. As to the Black Sea operational zone, yeah, it's difficult for the enemy to establish defensive lines because our troops are preventing them from doing so. Also, we had some successes there. You heard that from the governor's office there. As to the Black Sea operational zone, there is only one boat there capable of launching missiles. Other boats and ships of Russian Navy rotate, come and go. What does it mean in particular? Well, I cannot tell you. Most likely they focus right now to apply against Ukraine not naval-based cruise missiles, but they use long-range bombers, old Russian jets using outdated Soviet missiles type X, which they can hit on our territory without flying into the airspace of Ukraine. So that's the situation right now. Other questions, please?
In the eastern part of Donbas, especially in Severodonetsk, are you ready to retreat the troops that are defending the area in order to prevent them to be surrounded by Russian army?
Thank you for this question. Well, what are we doing there? We are doing everything to prevent the enemy from reaching their goal of encircling our troops in the area of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. As to the situation in Severodonetsk itself, there are street fights there already. The Ukrainian troops are standing their grounds. Sometimes they repel, sometimes they have to retreat slightly. But our main goal of the armed forces of Ukraine is not only to prevent the encircling, but to prevent any successes of the Russian occupiers at all of the axes, because according to the general defense plan for Ukraine, we have to keep fighting until we liberate all our territories. That's why the situation there is quite heavy, but the armed forces of Ukraine keep it under control, which is the most important thing. Our intelligence works well. We know about all of the plans of the enemy. Our air intelligence and reconnaissance is on, so I'm quite optimistic about the situation, but still it's extremely difficult as we speak. Thank you. Further questions?
Public television. Has there been any activity up in the northern part in Belarus or in Kharkiv area that is of significance?
As to the situation at the border with Belarus, no substantial changes in operational situation in the last 24 hours. Like I told you, the Belarusian military troops are involved in exercises. At least that's what they claim, allegedly. And for that they are transporting the military equipment and have their troops on march. But what stays the same is, unfortunately, there is still the threat that there might be military strikes from the territory of Belarus into Ukrainian territory. Unfortunately, this threat is on because Russians had their Iskander MLRS systems deployed there. As to Kharkiv region, again, no substantial changes happened there. The enemy tries to establish the defensive positions. Our troops are preventing them doing so. That's that. Thank you, Oleksandr, for joining us. That was Oleksandr Motuzianyk, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense. Thank you, friends. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. And our team prepares the agenda for tomorrow. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Telegram channels. Stay with us.